Good day and welcome to the Jann Arden podcast and show. I'm Jann Arden. I'm here with Caitlin Green. She is in Toronto. I am in Springbank, Alberta. And our producer girl, no, she is in the United States of America. She's at a conference, a horny conference in Chicago, Illinois.
Yes, the Windy Apple, or whatever they call it.
The Windy Apple.
I'm cosplaying as Sarah in this moment because I'm like playing
So
producer.
Cute.
But all I really have to do is like hit record, which I don't normally do.
I feel like we should talk about her. I feel like we should be talking about Sarah, what kind of irks us about her. She always seems very like in a great mood. She's usually in a good mood. She's very bouncy and cheerful. And, you know, it's got to stop.
I know. We have to end it.
We have to end it. So
Talking
let's get
about
right
someone,
to it. Oh,
wait, being a friendship of three. Are you watching the new season of White Lotus?
Who isn't?
Okay, okay, good. So we have the same disorder.
Those three girls.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. We know that friendship dynamic. So if for anyone who's not watching, there are many, many storylines happening at once that Mike White, the creator of the show, perfectly weaves together. And one of the storylines, which you may see in memes and around the internet, is three friends on a trip, played by Michelle Monaghan, Leslie Bibb, and Carrie Coon. And one is an actress, one is sort of like a Texas wealthy woman, and the other one is like a high-powered lawyer from New York. And they all have their own struggles. And the dynamic of them, where one of them goes to bed and the other two stay up and talk about the one who isn't there, is so...
We've all been there.
Everyone's been there.
And we've been on both sides of it. We've been on both sides of that fence.
Yeah. I've talked about people. And I think that it's interesting to watch everyone's reaction to it and to hear some people, especially like other women, go like, oh my God, these women are horrible. And I'm like, yeah, but you've done that.
Oh, you can't sit there and go, I would never do that. I've never talked about anybody. And it's not always, I'm doing this for Sarah because she always says that she gets feedback from my other little headphone that I have in. I'm not going to say that I have not been petty because I absolutely have.
Mm-hmm.
I know better. Mm-hmm. I think I'm much better now than I used to be. The friends that I have, I really have nothing petty to say about them. They're wonderful people. But back in the day with people that I didn't know well, I absolutely would go there if someone went to left the room. There's a great story that Chris Brunton, my road manager, would tell me. And whenever Joan Rivers had a dinner party, she would get up on purpose, and do stuff in the kitchen. And then she would come back and sit down and someone would leave to go to the bathroom. And as soon as they came back, Joan would she would launch into exactly what people were saying about them. Like she would just automatically go there and people would just be like, yeah, she would just do it. She loved it.
Oh my God. That is my nightmare.
Yeah. I'm probably not doing the story justice, but she just made it it was very obvious that she wanted to like get the dinner party going.
Oh my, because again, like cringe humor, like remember, like the hidden camera humor, all that stuff is really, it triggers my anxiety. And so I don't do well with that in social settings, even though I am a very honest person. That would make me die a little inside, but I think you're right. The friendship that we're seeing between these three women on White Lotus, where it's a little frenemy, is deeply relatable. And as you age, you hope that you age out of those friendships. Whereas these women are older. And
they're in their 40s.
Yeah.
They're clearly in their mid 40s. Like they're not, this isn't 30s behavior.
No.
But Carrie Coon, if anyone's watching The Gilded Age, Carrie Coon plays an absolutely such a different character of this high society woman that's new to New York. She wants to fit in with all the Vanderbergs or the Golden Steins, or she wants to fit in with these people. And anyway, the character, it's really a tribute to her acting because
she's great.
I'm looking at her first and it took me a while to realize, I'm like, oh my God, that's so-and-so from The Gilded Age. Mm-hmm. But they're all really terrific. And now things are really heated up. We're not going to do any spoiler alerts here, but we're not going to give anything away, but now it's all, there's no holds barred.
No, it's coming together. And it's interesting because I saw a lot of people online complaining, I guess, because they thought that this was a slower season. And when they compared it to the season 2, which took place in Italy, I think some people were trying to immediately compare them only 1 or 2 episodes into this 3rd season. And I was like, that's not fair. And Mike White is not going to fail us. He is going to deliver on the drama and get everything together. And it also, as is always the case with a show that takes place in another location, has really made me want to go to Thailand.
They say tourism is up by like 400% because of this show.
Yeah, it's like winning the lottery if you're
people are booking, like madly booking these trips to go. And actually the resort that it's taking place at is an actual resort. And people have done their little online spying and they're figuring out where these shoots are taking place. And it's crazy the benefits that happen from television, from the power of television and seeing these locations. The music is interesting too, because it's all Thai music.
Yeah.
So you're not ever taken out of where you are. He doesn't play, any kind of pop music, like Chapel Roan is not going to suddenly appear in a scene in the background. There's no American music. It's all Thai music. And I love the fact that when they do subtitles or when they're speaking Thai, there's an English subtitle and there's also a Thai subtitle faintly underneath that. So he's really paying homage to the entire culture and what's going on.
I've seen people online who love the show and work in show business, or I should say work in Hollywood on the production side of things. And they talked about the music supervision on this show and how important the role of music is. And to your point about how there isn't a Chapel Roan song that's going to disrupt the flow of this scene, people who knew Thai music were complimentary of the fact that every song was perfectly selected. It worked for the theme. And even the music that isn't necessarily a song per se, but it's the soundscape of the show, that those little sounds, the little recurring pieces of music that will pop up when things are about to get tense or when a certain character is about to enter into a new dynamic, it does trigger an emotional response where you know exactly where the story is headed. So everything is in service of the story and of the character development. And it is rare to see this in a show. And it's rare to see water cooler shows anymore where people all race to talk about them. They want to watch the episode as soon as it comes out. So yeah, just another huge success for him. I'm excited to see how this takes over the Emmys.
Let's go back to the very first episode too.
Oh, yes.
When there's all this shooting going on. There's shooting. There's multiple gunfire. We never get to see what it is. And it's going to be really interesting to see what the hell that is. Like I keep trying to string it together.
I know, me too.
If you haven't started watching it, that's in the first 30 seconds of the show. So we're not giving anything away, but Mike hasn't looped back to that yet.
He hasn't. He set up a possible reason for that gunfire planted in just about every storyline we've seen. And so it is ultimately a murder mystery, I think, that we're usually watching. It just unfolds in a non-murder mystery way. And the other thing to keep in mind, if you've watched past seasons, is that the favorite characters, the ones that people love the most, are often the ones who don't make it. So there's no...
I don't like anybody in this series. Okay. There's not one person that I really have an affinity towards. I don't like any of them. And maybe that's really purposeful. I don't find anything redeeming in any of these people.
I have to say, I really like Walton Goggins' character. I have a soft spot for him.
Who does he play?
He is Rick, who is together. Yeah. I have a real soft spot for him. I don't know why. He feels like somebody who made a lot of bad decisions in his life, but experienced a lot of trauma. And so I sympathize with whatever he's experienced in his life, which you'll find out if you watch the show. And he's kind of this good bad guy in my mind. He's the bad guy that I root for.
Well, let's leave it at that, because
let's leave it at that. Go watch it if you want. Right?
You have been it's a terrific show, and if you haven't seen all the series, absolutely recommend you go to series 1. they're all completely standalones. So you don't have to, you can watch 3 first, you can watch 2. There's no order. You recently went to the States, and everyone is talking about going over the border. There's a lot of nightmare stories about having your phone looked at. The customs officer can say, "What's your password? I want to look at your phone." I mean, there's all these kind of urban myth type things that are going on. Bring a burner phone, put your phone in your suitcase, don't bring it with you. I personally have quite a few friends that are down there. My physician was down there for his daughter's basketball tournament. They were in Florida. Anyway, I want you to tell us what is going on and what your experience was like going across the border.
The exact same as always.
Okay,
I mean,
so
literally not one thing was different about the experience of traveling to the US, and nothing was different about being in the US other than US citizens finding out you're from Canada and tripping over themselves to apologize for the back and forth and kind of going out of their way to
Really?
say, to kind of say, like, we don't, this is so tense. Like, I'm so happy you're still coming down here. Are you having a good time? Like, more conscientious of wanting, I think, Canadians to still feel comfortable, because it just underscored to me how much the average US citizen and the average Canadian citizen are not what's happening in politics. Like
Well, I'm
there's
glad to
still
hear
obviously
that.
going to be some division, and you're still going to see Trump signs. You're still going to see the stuff that you would see. But in my, sort of day-to-day interactions, I didn't find that there was some sort of overly antagonistic anti-Canadian
Now, you have a
sentiment.
Nexus card.
Yeah, I do.
So I have a Nexus card as well. So it took me a long time to get the Nexus, and you kind of have to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
And God forbid that you ever don't declare something or fill in anything incorrectly or lie or go over your allotted amount of money. Like, you do not do that with a Nexus card.
No.
You'll literally screw yourself forever.
Yes.
So it's a privilege having it. I've had mine for well over 10, 12 years. I went into the program when it first started. It has saved my life many, many times. The speed in which you can get through the lines a little quicker. Coming back into the country, coming back into Canada, I don't think I've ever seen a customs officer. I scan my card, I fill out the form, and they wave me through. That's that.
Yeah.
So it's worth thinking about getting. If you don't have a Nexus card, it literally is going and talking to an officer. Now, it's kind of complicated. Sometimes there's only so many airports that do the interviews, and they're booked months in advance. But go Google it. Go look at if a Nexus card is something that might be a good thing for you. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So, because a lot of people are.
I think it can be different at land crossings. I'll say that. I feel like some of the stories I've heard, at least online, certainly no one in my regular day-to-day life has had any of these negative experiences, but I have heard online that some of the land border crossings have been a little more heavily scrutinized. And again, people who are going down there with different purposes than to just have a pleasure vacation.
Right.
So if you're going down there for work or you're going down there to sell something, I think that may be viewed a little bit differently. That's what I think probably some of these hangups are the result of. But again, I'm an Nexus card holder, and it was great. Smooth sailing all the way through.
Yeah, you wonder the stories that you hear of people going across for whatever reason, and they're detained by ICE, and they're in these facilities for 11 or 12 days. I've heard, there's some British tourists that their daughter was there they had to get that all straightened out. Something weird with visas, or they were going there to work and the stuff wasn't exactly the way it should be. Like, I feel like some of these stories, there's more to them than what you're hearing. I just don't see a British citizen who's 24 years old going across the border and being hauled off by ICE. Like, I'm just having a hard time getting my head around that. And so those things get magnified so much, those stories.
Yes.
I have had people warning me with these really foreboding stories on my DMs on my social media.
Me too.
Like, going, oh, if you're going to go down there, my friend, like this whole burner phone thing. I know you're really outspoken about Trump and stuff, and I think you would be perfectly targeted by, the customs people because you're outspoken about him. Like, literally, my friend was asked if they liked Trump, and when they said no, they were turned away at the border. I'm like,
I don't believe that's true. I'm just saying that.
But this is where this shit starts.
Yeah.
It's like people Please.
It's comment section culture has run amok on people's brains,
Okay.
where it's like,
Yeah.
that's what I think has happened. And everyone thinks they're in the comment section, and it's, my aunt and my cousin and this and that. And it's kind of like, unless this physically happened to you personally, unless
It's a never personal. It's never this
It's
happened to
never.
me.
It's never.
Always 10 steps removed. What I want to say is, fuck off, but I don't.
Yeah, I politely will say, I think I will say something to that effect if I think that what is being told to me as fact, and very finger waggy.
It is
I don't
finger
like,
waggy.
I don't like a finger wag.
Well, it was just weird to I was being admonished at the same time
Yes.
about my views and about, I'm a musician that's very politically outspoken. I'm so sick of people telling me that I'm not allowed to have an opinion about politics.
Oh my
Every
gosh.
single human being involved in a democracy is involved, in one way or the other. And your opinion matters. Well,
And
you're
just
trying
like,
to
you can
sway
just,
people. Yes, I am. I am trying to sway people.
well,
What do you think they're doing on the campaign trail?
And I also just think, this is sort of like, there's a bit of a, I don't know, there's a bit of a desire I have to say, lighten up. Like, it's kind of antisocial behavior to go around to people you don't know and tell them what you think they're doing, but you don't really know them. But because they're a public figure, you have this weird parasocial relationship with them. Like, I would encourage anyone to sort of examine that a little bit more, because I don't love it. I don't need it. I certainly don't need this.
Yeah, it's fine. If I was campaigning, with the Liberal Party or with the NDP Party or with the Conservatives, I'd be going door to door and I'd be handing out pamphlets or I'd be manning the phones. So I don't need to be officially affiliated to be able to campaign. I can do that anyway.
You're just a public figure and you're going to say what you want, and that's your brand. And if people don't like it, then it's like, you don't follow along. And so anyways, but I do want to say to anyone, because I had someone who listens to the podcast hear that I was going to Florida and that they are going to Florida, and they wanted to know what it was like because they were very worried. And they said the same thing. Should I turn my phone off? Should I even bring my phone? And I was like, yes, you should be fine. Like, barring something completely strange hidden in your history, I don't believe that you would be unduly targeted. I wasn't. I have Nexus, and everything was just fine. And I encountered many, many Canadians along the way. The Orlando airport, which is where we flew in and out of, was, filled with so many Canadians that we met who were going down for family trips and going to Disney and Universal are there. So it's a lot of grandparents and parents with the kids. And it was really sweet. And
attendance is really down at those parks too.
This I believe, but some people, obviously, they've already spent the money. They booked this so long in advance that they still wanted to go.
But it's a noticeable difference this time of year because people are spring break, kind of escaping. I mean, this stuff's been going on for, a couple months now.
Absolutely. But I think people can feel okay about going. It is a moving thing. It's a bouncing ball. It's a changing target, so to say. But I feel like I was fine. My 2 cents is that I was fine.
That's great to hear. Speaking of which, this is a great little segue into this. We worry a lot. And you brought me this. Where did you get this little piece from, Caitlin?
This was circulating somewhere online that I found, and I forget. Let me just find the exact source here. Oh, it's from Psychological News.
Well, so it's a very, a magazine or a publication that deals with this type of thing. This wasn't an op-ed written by a baker from, Omaha. So they're saying that according to a recent survey, the average American, and we do get a lot of American studies, but we're like Americans. We might as well just insert ourselves in there because I can't see it being all that different. But they're dealing with a different thing, right? They're on the front line. Yeah. So they're spending 2 hours and 18 minutes. I always laugh at that stuff. 2 hours and 18 minutes each day wrestling with anxious thoughts. How many hours a day do you spend worrying?
Oh, God. I hope it's not that, but that feels about right. I would hope not.
I feel like I'm not a huge worrier, but I do spend at least that amount of time debating with friends, sharing ideas. Have you heard about this? What do you think of that? I'm always bouncing off. Do you think that will really happen? what ifs. I do a lot of what ifs with my friends. What if we blank, blank, blank? So I would say that I'm definitely in the 2 or 3 hour place during my day, if I'm awake for 14 or 16 hours, that I'm way more involved in thinking about the what ifs than I was a year ago.
Yeah. I was previously diagnosed, and I don't know if it's still a thing, like it changes, but I've had generalized anxiety disorder that spikes and varies throughout my life. So from the
Okay.
time that I was a little kid. So this has always been with me. And so to hear other people kind of going through what I'm very used to as my baseline is interesting and speaks to how stressed out people are. And I do think how much time we spend on our phones and how much we're so plugged into this steady stream of information into our brains that is telling you something like you can only cross the border with a burner
It can't
phone
be
or
good for us. It
I don't
cannot be
think
good for us.
I don't think so. And the reason why I really don't think so is because I make a conscious effort to shield my son from it, like from seeing me using a phone and from screen time. And I would make a conscious effort not to give him a phone until he was a certain age. So I'm
Good
thinking to
luck
myself,
with that.
yeah, they say till 16. Like that's my goal right now would be he can't have a phone until he's 16. That's what most of these like experts are saying. And I would prioritize a school that was phone free 100%. And so I
I
think that
think by then they will be, Caitlin.
I hope so.
Like I really think it's going to be perceived in a much more serious light of what they're doing to learning, what they're doing to how the kids socialize. So you're in good shape. You got 14 years to go.
So I think to myself, if I'm consciously trying to shield my son from this because I know that it's not that great for us, then why the heck am I not doing this for me?
Yeah.
I'm just not good at it and I'm addicted to it and all that. But yeah, I believe that people are spending over 2 hours a day worrying. And the biggest worries that they said from this survey, no surprise again, money came in at number one with 53% of people saying that they were worried about that. Family, 42%. Here's my big one, tasks and to-do lists. I have way too much of that running through my head. I don't know if you're
Really?
like that.
I have
Yes.
no tasks or to-do lists. I
That's
never
funny.
really have. I do
Yeah, yeah.
errands when I can, but I really am lucky. I do not have children. I do not have a 9 to 5 job. I'm an entrepreneur, really. I'm self-employed. So yeah, I mean, if I add to my Amazon grocery list twice a day, remind me to get soy sauce or whatever, but I never inundate myself with to do things.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not, that doesn't bother me at all. That's not part of my list, but I get it. It says 42% here. 42% tasks and to-do lists. So tell me what is your average to-do list? What does that entail? Is it mostly
It's
will?
no, yeah, it's a lot of will. It's a lot of will and household related things. But then it's also just stuff that I feel like I should be doing.
Like
So
what?
going to Pilates class 3 times a week, making healthy foods for him, like from scratch.
Well, why don't you
He has
get
like,
that down to once a week? Why don't you do Pilates once a week or once every 2 weeks? Why don't you lessen your load? You already know it bugs you.
yeah. And that's exactly what my therapist says to do is because she always
I'm
talks
not
about
even
how
charging you for this right now.
you build on, I'm charging you. You build on momentum. I know this to be true. So you start small, don't start with these big lofty goals, and you'll get there incrementally. But even little things like Will has had this little audio playing device that's been broken since we got it, and they've made fixing it just this nightmare. And I have to do all these annoying things to get it fixed.
Get a
And
new
so
one.
it's expensive.
But okay, and I tell this to people, weigh out your time and the time
Yeah.
spent on this device.
Yeah.
How much time is it going to take you and how much is it going to bug you? See,
Yes.
me, I would buy a new one. I wouldn't bother.
Well, now I'm in a tizzy because it's defective and annoying to me. And so there's like some technical things in our house that need to be addressed with time spent sitting on a 1-800 number, which I don't wish upon my worst enemy. So I have like those things to do.
Okay.
Um,
You got
I'm,
some
and
stuff piling up.
some stuff piling up. Like there's some housekeeping. It feels like there's always this kind of hangnaily thing.
And it
And
would be difficult with kids. So I'm totally going to give you that 100%. I have a difficult time writing even with the dog around. He wants to play. He wants to do stuff. He wants me to let him out the door. and in the door. And I know I'm not making light of this at all. I'm saying how trivial my concerns are compared to people that have 1, 2, or 3 children.
As a dog barks at my door.
Wow. But you know what I mean, right? I
Yeah.
can't, like, it's sometimes I'll drop Poppy off at Nadine's place if I
Mm-hmm.
really just want to tackle something in the afternoon and get some writing done.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine Will and your husband and putting meals together, and you're probably out looking for jobs. You've always probably
Mm-hmm.
got that on your horizon of,
100%.
looking at opportunities, and putting yourself out there. But I want to address these other things too that people spoke about. Health concerns, 37%. So we know that worry, stress is directly connected to health. Not only our mental health, but studies are showing now that physical health is profoundly affected by how our brains are taking in this information. People are getting sick.
Oh yeah. Every time I start to feel a little something, and my issues vary from, stomach upset to like chest tightness, that, not being able to sleep, tense shoulders, tense jaw,
Sleep is
headaches.
also on this list.
Yeah. So whenever those things start to fall off the rails, I do try to do an internal look and say, oh yeah, you're stressed. And I know that a lot of stuff for me is related to my anxiety and my stress. But, and I think about that, the health concerns for people and what you just said about them being so tied together, and caring for somebody who probably did then have serious physical health issues, and the caregiver burnout, which like you would have experienced, Jann, with your parents, right?
I was so sick, Caitlin.
Yes.
I felt like I was killing myself. I can't make light of how terrible that I felt. I was not sleeping. I was like, talk about worry. I just was never myself. I didn't feel like myself anymore. I felt like I was completely losing myself. So that's when I reached out to friends.
Yeah.
And I went to my doctor. I finally said, this is what's happening with me. And I need help. I need direction. What can I do?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I finally involved my friends, when I finally started looking for part-time care or whatever I could afford, what was available to me with resources, because for 5 or 6 years I had gone it on my own with my mom and dad, and I'd have a neighbor look in on them, or they were kind of still driving and still doing things, but it was nuts.
Mm-hmm. Do you
And
think that's because you were
my
kind of in
heart
a,
palpitations, I was having
yeah,
so many heart things, like you talk about chest and everything.
yeah.
And when I finally got help, I swear to God, I felt so much better in like 60 days. I felt like everything was coming back down. So,
And do you
yeah,
think that it was sort of a process of accepting how bad things had gotten for them health wise? Like initially, was it a bit of denial where they could still live independently? And
completely.
yeah. And then you're like, I can do this on my own. So you
Hmm.
white knuckle it.
And I want
And
to
then,
lie about it.
yeah,
And I want to protect them.
yeah.
And I don't want someone swooping in and saying, well, we're going to have to take his driver's license. Like it was a house of cards. So I had so many things on my plate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's just amazing what we do to ourselves. And my brothers weren't much help. And if they're listening right now, you guys know that. Well, one of my brothers was in jail, so he couldn't help at all. And my other little brother works the oil patch. He's up
Mm-hmm.
north 3 weeks at a time. Like
Yeah.
when he gets home, he's got his own kids.
Mm-hmm.
Got a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. I did look at him, and they're looking at me going, you live 200 feet from them, and you
Mm-hmm.
have no children, and you have the type of job that's very flexible. So I don't blame them for responding that the way they did. It just made sense that I was the person. But yeah, getting back to, stress and illness. So what do you do for worry? You're obviously hyper aware of the
Mm-hmm.
things that you do to yourself. You're hyper aware of the symptoms that you experience. You're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm getting to the edge of the cliff here." What do you
Yeah.
do, Caitlin?
uh, I should exercise. So when I have adrenaline to burn, or maybe it's cortisol, I forget which one. But anyways, I have
Both.
probably
All
both.
of it. Hormones, man.
Yeah. So when I go for a run, and I mean like an intense run, and I just about, this is probably not good for my hearing, but I put on my running playlist, and it is deafening level dance music or hip hop. And I just go to
Tell
a
me you're on
different,
a treadmill and not in the streets.
I'm always on a treadmill. I'm not an outdoors runner. I'm an indoor cat.
I only say that because of loud music and traffic and people saying, "Hey lady, your hair's on fire." Fuck you, I'm running.
No, I like a gym, and the gym in my building is very quiet, and I run at odd hours. So I go down there, and if I can crush out a run where I am the color of an eggplant when I'm leaving and dripping in sweat, I feel better, I sleep better, I walk taller. I need to be alone. And I need to be alone with nothing really to do. I need a window of like 2 hours to just sort of say, yeah. And that can mean anything. I might just watch Housewives. I might just watch, but I might also meditate, or I might read a book, or I might but I need to remove myself from the inner noise and the outer noise for a while and kind of like be beholden to no one. So those are the things that have helped me the most. Laughs with my friends are always great, but as you age, it's harder and harder to do those things. You have to schedule time to hang out with your friends.
Well,
And
and
I'm not.
people live in different corners of the city. It's not, and you Torontonians are looking at traffic that does not make these things easy. It's not like, hey, let's meet in a half an hour for a coffee. No.
Yeah.
It's like Wednesday at 5:00, and then everyone's got to figure out how the fuck they're going to get there.
That's the thing. And then I'm scheduling it, and then it's a thing to do, and it's a thing to get to, and then I have something else after it. So I'm kind of watching the clock. So the time to myself is very, very, very important. And it took a long time for me to realize that I recharge alone. So that would be up there. But running, nothing is better for me than a hardcore run.
Well, exercise and movement is probably at the very base of your pyramid, folks. Like and we've talked about that on the show. I love to walk. Like yesterday, I did work out. I did my weights. When I turned 63, I thought, I'm doing some weights. I do cardio every day of some description for at least 45 minutes. You'd think I'd be 100 pounds, but I love to eat. And like last night, it was before I had a shower at the end of the day. I got on my walking pad and I did 25 minutes because I thought, I did work out at 6:30 this morning, but I've been writing all day and I've been sedentary. And it was like one of those things that I could just feel my mind kind of worrying about. I've got a friend that's quite sick right now and going through some stuff. And I was thinking about this and just little tasks, phone calls, emails that I needed to return. So here I am telling you that I don't have any tasks. And now I'm telling you I do have tasks. So I get what you mean. But after I walked on this crazy walking pad that was very inexpensive, to be honest. Sometimes they're on sale for $199.
You can get them on Amazon. Like they can be dirt cheap if you need them to be.
Yeah, and they go on sale too. So I did not, and I slept so much better last night. Like I just that walk, and then I had a shower, and I'm like, I'm so glad I got on there, and I watched something on TV.
Yeah.
So movement, if you're feeling that, movement has got to be a part of your day. No matter, I don't care what you're doing. If you need to, have your partner like give up a hockey night to take your kids, you need to move. You need to walk around the block. You need time alone. So just for anyone that's listening right now, movement, time alone, things that you enjoy doing. And you made a good point, Caitlin, is like, you need to have nothing to do. You don't need to read a book. You don't need to, all you can do is just sit and do nothing. If you want to, look at your phone.
And everyone is different, but I do think I hear from so many people that what they most crave, and to whatever degree it works for them, is nothing to do, is free time. And it's that lack of free time and the overscheduling of yourself and this hyper focus on productivity and output that adds to this sort of external pressure that just kind of like makes everyone very, very tense and need to relax. And I really do not like being around people who are high stress, who are really intense, type A, like over that type of personality. It makes me anxious, and it's not their fault. They're usually very successful and smart, but I don't know if empath is the right word, but I immediately respond to whatever energy is in front of me.
I move away from people like that. In a room, same. I am like, I'm going to get as far away from you and whatever you got going on as I possibly can.
Yeah, I like it. I love a chill vibe, and I kind of just want to laugh and not take everything quite so seriously. So yeah, very intense. I avoid very intense people. I don't. It is not for me, and they usually are just crushing it and high achieving and good luck to you. But we're not a good match.
I'll tell you right now, the success of my life and how I live my life and what makes me content is not about achievement. It never has been, and it never ever will be. It's not about anything I've accomplished. It's not about winning an award. It's not about how many records I sold. It's not about selling out a room or not selling out a room. It's about none of that. And it's taken me a long time to realize that that's not on my happiness table. It's my friendships. It's my quiet time. It's my ability to be alone. Being alone is so important to loving other people. I cannot even begin to tell you what an important part of your humanity that is in order for you to care about and love and nurture another human being. It has to start and end with your relationship with yourself. And it's just appreciating things, appreciating people, being a helper, being part of my community, being able to do things that make me feel like I'm participating in the world around me. Those are things. It's not achievement driven.
Yeah, it's human connection.
So I feel bad for people that every egg, every bean, every nickel and dime dollar that they've ever had is in this achievement basket. And I think there's a real emptiness there, and you feel it from them when you're talking about that specifically. You feel that. You feel the void. You're like, you're not in there, you fucking ding dong. Where are you?
It is, you're exactly right. It's the feeling I would get sometimes. And it's when, I don't know if you have ever experienced this, but when you're up really high on a bridge or on a balcony, the urge to jump. And I don't mean that in a suicidal way,
No.
but
your brain goes through the scenario.
Because like you're so close, and they call it's, I think there's a French saying for it that roughly translates to the call of the void, and that's what it means. And I feel that way when I'm around someone who is like,
call of the void. We know what we're calling this episode.
The title of episode is Call of the Void, because that's what I feel like. I'm being sucked into this like black hole of like hyper achievement and judgment. And it just, again, this is also a reflection of me. I realize that I am very self-aware. I know I'm projecting to an extent, but it's an energy that doesn't work for me and triggers my anxiety a little bit. And it feels empty. It feels empty to me. So I don't love
it. Feels empty because it is.
Yeah.
You know, most people that are like that, and you can call it A-type personality, you can call it alpha personalities, you can call it tiger mom. There's a whole bunch of, words that are used to describe people that are humming above like a humanity, basically. And I just think that the energy that it takes to be up there devoid of any real connection with people is got to be the loneliest friggin' place to be. It is about balance. Like, and please know that I'm not saying it's not satisfying to get a job done. It's not satisfying to finish a book, or it's not satisfying to finish a thing at work that you've been doing for 6 months. But imagine being on that road 365 days a year, decade after decade and everything that you go by on the road. You talk about these stereotypes of stopping to smell the flowers, and that's exactly what it is. So as a human being, when you don't stop to hear birdsong, or when you don't stop to, just take in nature or really have a conversation with a friend, I think it's one of the reasons that I love doing this podcast so much. It's always a chance to talk to you guys. Like, I always leave after these conversations a little bit better. And a little bit more knowledgeable and more connected. I always, and people ask me about it all the time. What's your favorite part? And I'm like, talking to the girls.
Yeah. And because it pulls your mind in interesting directions and makes you more curious because you're having a conversation about other people and topics going on in the world, but also about yourself. And it is really nice. And it does underscore that what you were saying is so true, that so much of what you enjoy about life is the human connection. And I just wonder, do you feel like that was something that clicked for you after you had a bunch of accolades and achievement and success, and it
Yes.
didn't hit the way that you thought it would?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I've heard so many public figures say, and especially on a podcast that I've sometimes listened to called Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard and Monica Padman. And they have huge names on. And the number of times I've listened to the show and had the most famous, successful person in the world say, I got everything I wanted, and then I realized I didn't really want it. And that really wasn't what it was about for me.
Mm-hmm.
And Dax Shepard is a very open book.
He's
And he's
had a
gone,
lot of stuff happen to
yes.
him.
He talks about being molested. He talks about being a drug addict. I mean, he has lived many lives and been many versions of himself. And so to hear this version of himself now, which is pretty steady, sober, and successful, though, because he talked about kind of being like periphery successful in Hollywood and always wanting that big thing, to be an actor, to be a big name, to have the hot woman and all the money. Like he admits to wanting those things. And then the podcast is what made him all of his money and his success in Hollywood. And it was sort of a surprise to him. And he experienced the feeling of, only after I got this sort of success did I realize what everybody else had been saying, which was like, it didn't even mean that much to me. Like, sure, it's nice that I can buy cars and everything and do the stuff that I wanted, but it's my wife and my friends and my family and my recovery that
Tell
mattered
everybody
to
who
me.
he's married to.
Oh, he's married to Kristen Bell. Yeah. Yeah. So she's obviously wonderful. And he credits her with so much because she's kind of this very different person to him. And
she's hung in there with him.
Holy heck, has she ever hung in there with him? Yeah, credit to Kristen Bell. She got a lot of stuff done with him in terms of inner work. But yeah, that's what it's about, I think. It's about human
And when
connection.
you have a successful partner, that's a whole other part of the equation. But yeah, I was always very grateful. And I never experienced that kind of fame, so I can't say that. Like even at the height of stuff that I was doing, I think people knew certain songs that I had, but they didn't know it was me. So there wasn't a lot of times there wasn't that connection. So I didn't experience something like, Cynthia and, a Revo or, when the movie Wicked came out, she had done all this other stuff. And, she had won Tonys and, a huge Broadway girl, but she wasn't a household name.
Yeah.
And I was never that. I'll never be that. And I would never aspire to that. But even the little bit of that I experienced is almost like touching an electrical outlet and realizing like that, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
So you get these little reminders, and it always came back to my friends and missing my friends and missing my folks and wanting to be, with the dog. I mean, I'd be on stage and I'm just like, I can't wait to go see the dog.
I know.
And I'm not taking away from the people that are sitting there, because in that 2 hours, it's a great time. I love the connection, but it's not what I live for. And I've talked to you about that before.
Yeah. Because you're more balanced. And I think, again, that does come with age as well. And everyone just figures out what their values are. And that's such a big part of what I've learned also in therapy and CBT therapy. That's a huge piece of it is, what are your values? And then how do you align your actions with your values? And when your actions and your values don't align, how many consequences there are, negative consequences for your mental health, because you there's just something off. Like you just feel off in a way. You're like, I'm doing this, but I don't really know why. And why am I still like, it's just because, and you have to really sit and assess and be thoughtful about it. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. Your Kristen Bell, Dax Shepard thing made me think of another topic that I sent to you that I know you liked, about loud looking.
Yeah. So dating is about to get loud is the subheading of this. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here. I already thought dating was pretty freaking loud, but apparently it's going to get louder, and I don't even know what that means.
They say it's all about being bold and clear about what you want in, here's the catch, your dating profile. So this is all about online dating. And it's because
long walks on the beach, hot chocolate under the moon, like
those, like the vague hints and sort of the mysterious, nice
so
to
now
read.
what is it?
Now they want people to say, you have to say, I want a long-term relationship. I am looking to meet my person. I am looking for monogamy, or I'm looking for a casual fling. I am looking for something that is a little unconventional, maybe ethical non-monogamy, AKA hooking up with multiple people. But they
want that in the profile.
In the top of your bio.
So it's much more sexual
and clearly defining why you are trying to make connections with people, and not just sort of playing it cool and pretending I don't want a relationship, or hiding the fact that I don't really want a relationship, I just want to hook up, because there is a lot of layers to get through in dating, I think. And so looking for was the top bio mention on Tinder last year. And so they say that
makes my head hurt.
It does, because I think I didn't ever grow up with this. It mirrors some complaints that I remember.
Like even at your age, this has eluded you as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think because...
Are you glad you're not dating?
I'm so glad I'm not dating. Okay. I'd be really bad at it. I think if something happened with my marriage, I just don't think I'd ever... I don't know what would happen to me. Like I
don't even know who I could introduce you to. That's sad.
Well, and I have the same thing with my single friends too, where they'll find themselves single after a relationship ends, and then kind of like look around at all of our girlfriends or guy friends, and we're all like, we don't have anyone to introduce you to. I'm sorry. But I just don't. I'm like, I don't know. I make sense with Kyle, but I just can't imagine making sense with anyone else. And I hear the stories of dating, and I just go,
do you guys talk to him about dating? Like, what's his dating history prior to you?
Oh, prior to me, he had a long-term relationship actually with a much older woman for a while.
That was his.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't Jann. I found that very attractive actually when we got together too, because it was interesting. It made him more interesting to me, and he seemed like, I don't know, it was like substantial, or it just wasn't. Yeah, it was just different.
I love that. I love that, because it says a lot about where you are as a person, because I would imagine an older woman would have a whole different set of things that turned her on, of she knew what she wanted. And I'm not just talking about in intimacy, but I'm talking about books she's read, how she wants to dress, her friendships, her personal space where she lived. Like, she's got it.
Yeah.
Don't need the man to come along and define me. And that's cool.
And I found that a lot of my other relationships I was in, their past relationships felt very homogenous. Like they all kind of seemed like the same person. And so I just this was interesting to me. And that I think, yeah, that's my standout like characteristic. So that was his, that was his one relationship closest to me. And then kind of like here and there relationships that were pretty bog standard for university. And then one high school girlfriend. And that was pretty much his dating history. Yeah. And neither of us did the online dating thing. I mean, we met through friends in real life, and I never had
kind of pre you guys. It was probably a little pre you guys. I mean, I think that stuff was around. Like, what are we looking at Tinder now? Are we at the decade mark?
Oh yeah, Tinder? Gosh, how long
easily?
Is that? Oh, easily. Yeah, that must be it. Tinder, and Grindr, and the different categories for dating apps.
How long has Tinder been around?
We ask Siri, the all-knowing entity of Siri.
How long has Tinder been operational?
What does she say?
Use ChatGPT. Okay, we're doing it. I don't know if this is legal.
I think it is. I'm going to Google it too.
Working with ChatGPT. Tinder was launched in September 2012, making it operational for over 12 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Were you happy with your ChatGPT experience? Yes, I was.
I love ChatGPT. Sorry, I'm a convert. But yeah, so I mean, I think, and it's a different dating experience on every app. Like Tinder is different than Hinge, which is different than Grindr, and there's apps for people who are.
It sounds like you're talking a different language to me.
I know, but so this is the thing on these apps, and I think it's because you are going through so many people to try to find someone, and you only have so much time. And you only want to make so many plans and so many dates and meet so many people that you eventually just want to get to the meat of it. Like if you're not looking for a serious relationship, I don't want to go on a date with you. And conversely, for some people, if you want a serious relationship, I'm not the right fit because I don't have it in me right now for whatever reason. And I'm probably just looking for sex. I think that's really what is happening.
So loud dating, folks, if you're out there, if you're single, or even if you're not single and you're just looking, obviously you don't have to be single anymore to be on these apps. In fact, they would encourage it. Make sure at the top of your profile you put looking for, because that's the most searched thing. So looking for, I suppose you could say, someone who loves bowling. I think would be mine.
That would be yours. I would say looking for someone who can tolerate how much I talk about reality TV and pop culture.
Oh, well, we've got a special guest coming up. We're going to be chatting with we can tell people.
Yeah, we can say it.
Like you tell it. We're going to be chatting with him on Thursday.
Okay, so we will.
It's Tuesday, so we're going to do it in the afternoon, but we're going to save it for next week's
right, for the week
podcast.
Following. Yeah, okay.
But tell us a little bit about him, just as a little teaser.
Yeah. So his name is Carl Radke. You can look him up. He is a longtime star of the Bravo reality show Summer House. And the synopsis for Summer House is it's very common for young people in Manhattan and in New York to go into a share house in the summer. So they rent a house in the Hamptons or wherever it is, and they share the cost and they all live there together. And when they're done working during the week, they go out to their house in the Hamptons on the weekends and they live it up. You know, they hook up with people, they go to the beach, they party, whatever. And so they've had cameras in this share house for Bravo TV for years. I mean, I forget how long this show has been on, but it's been on for ages. And he has lived 1,000 lives on this show. This guy has been on for a long time. He has struggled with substance abuse. He's gone sober. He's lost a family member. He's, had an end of an engagement. I mean, so I'm really curious to talk to him about what this is like to live with cameras and a camera. I'm excited.
I bet you forget about them.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I bet you forget about cameras, because every time I wear a lapel microphone, like doing a show, I mean, New Year's, for example, I was on live TV for 6.5 hours with Adrian Arsenault.
Such a long time.
It was nuts, like trying to eat things and, have a hot chocolate. It was so freaking cold too. But Adrian and I would be chatting away, and a producer would come up to us. We weren't on camera, but we literally would have a woman like tap me on the shoulder and say, we're still, you've got your mic and we're still on. I mean, I don't even know what I was saying. What was I saying? But it was just a reminder that this is being logged and this is on something that is available to take sound bites out of. It might not be on TV, but the truck is recording you.
Yeah, your mic.
But I did that 10 times, Caitlin.
I know. And these people are, they're doing it and they're intoxicated, or some of them are having sex, or like, who knows? And some of the rooms just have stationary cameras in them, so there isn't even a man. And anyway, I'm very curious to see what that's like and
Can't
how
wait to talk to him.
I want to, because he's now, he's sober now. He's a very different person than when he started the show, and so I'm quite curious to hear about what that's like.
That's
so
gonna be awesome.
We'll have that next week.
Okay,
and
we got
to go to Patreon now.
No, yeah, we got some housekeeping to do. So
yes, we do.
We want to talk about our book bag.
Yeah.
As you know, Eastbound was our book. What a cray little book. Not at all what I thought. And there's a theme going on here, because this also deals with soldiers on a front line and how horrible war is. And anyway,
it's Russian soldiers being conscripted, and that is literally happening right now in Russia.
Yeah, so they're being captured from their hometowns.
Yep.
People gather them, put them on trains, and send them to the front line to fight.
Yes.
And a lot of them are untrained, ill-prepared, all the things. So this is a little glimpse into a train ride of these soldiers.
This is a movie.
And this French woman,
so good.
Oh my God, it's so great. And the main characters don't speak each other's language. So you think about writing that down of how you communicate with each other. Anyway, we need to talk about this with those of you who are our Patreon book bag people.
And if you don't know about our Patreon yet, or you haven't explored it, you get an extra episode of the show every single week if you're just like a regular tier member. And then there's more and more tiers with more access. When we do live events, pre-sales, we do contesting. And for the book bag tier, we have a special dedicated online forum to discuss the book bag, for us to reply to you, for fielding questions. And then when we're done reading the book, we all get together and do like a book bag discussion virtually, so via Zoom.
And that's what we're going to talk about right now. We are going to figure out a night next week to communicate about this book. So I think what we're going to do once again is on Patreon, folks, we are going to post 3 options for times. So when that gets posted up in the next day or 2, please go on, check your box of what works for you. Now, unfortunately, this is a democratic process. So the box with the most votes is going to win. If you were with us for In Memoriam, you will know that we had a great discussion. It was fun seeing everybody. There were some great questions. We're going to do that again in our book bag. So check out your Patreon after you listen to this episode. Check the box that you want, and you guys can decide between 3 times. We will probably have a daytime option, an afternoon option, and an evening option. Evenings went out last night. I'm just going to tell you that right now. The evening went out. So anyway, yeah. And we will also be announcing next week our newest book this month.
Which we did already announce on Patreon, right? Or did we announce it on the regular show too? Oh my God, Sarah's going to kill us.
Oh my God, she's going to kill us.
She is. No, I think it's announced. I think it's publicly announced.
Sorry, I was hesitating there because I'm like, did we? Yes, it is. Yes, we did. You can go check on Patreon.
Together.
It does blend together. What's my name again? And what show am I on?
It's Sarah's pick, and it is also the winner of CBC's Canada Reads 2025. It's titled A Two-Spirit Journey, the Autobiography of a Lesbian Ojibwa-Cree Elder.
And the thing of it is, too, we want to challenge people. I want to learn, what that means. We've heard lots of, comments over the last few years, especially about Two-Spirit people and that they've always existed for thousands and thousands of years. And I think, here at our show, we want to support the LGBTQ plus trans community. And we are not ever going to shy away from standing with waving our freak flag and letting people know that everyone is welcome here and that everyone belongs here and that this show is for everyone. And it's as simple as that. Yeah. And you don't have to agree with us all the time, but we always want to be very verbal about the support that we show for every single human being on this planet. And that goes for the ones that don't agree with us too.
Exactly.
Because this is for you. So anyways, that's going to come up. And so make sure you mark that box for us so that we know. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Let your friends know about Patreon. It helps us as creators make this show week after week. We've done it free for many, many, many years, but we're no longer on the Bell under the Bell umbrella.
That's right.
So we've got it alone with Sarah Burke's whole platform of the Women in Media Podcast Network, and it's pretty exciting to be part of that. So if you can help us make the podcast, that's always appreciated.
And you get a whole extra episode every week, and we talk about some crazy stuff on there, and you can watch us on video, and it's a great platform too. Like, I love the user interface experience of Patreon. It's really successful for a reason, because it's quite fun to use. So, check it out.
Well, that's our show. We've done all our housekeeping. Join us, because we do have Patreon on the other side of this. And there's a few other things that I wanted to talk about that we didn't even get to. So
a creepy airline story.
We have to talk about this. Please come and listen to the Patreon episode. Imagine getting to your destination. You've fallen asleep on a plane, but when you get to your Airbnb, you realize that your hair has been braided, and it wasn't braided when you got on the fucking plane. Let's just leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. You've been listening to the Jann Arden podcast and show. We appreciate you so much. Make sure you check to see what our recall episode is on Wednesday. We will be announcing that as well. Midweek, we always replay something that really intrigued us, inspired us, that was interesting to us. So look at all the things we've got going on. Gosh. Anyway, thanks for listening. We appreciate you more than you know. Look after yourselves. Make sure you get moving. Try not to worry 2 hours and 18 minutes every day, because it's going to get worse before it gets better, folks. It really is. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Caitlin Green. And we'll talk to you soon. Toodly-doo.